Are you the type of quilter who likes a little challenge? Or maybe you're the kind of maker who can't follow a pattern exactly the way it's written. Or, let's be honest, you've got a pattern that you love, but when you look at your stash, it just doesn't line up. If any of that sounds like you, you're in the right place. Today, I'm walking you through 7 different strategies you can modify the quick and slick pattern so it works for you, your stash, your style, and the quilt that you want to make. So stick with me and I'll show you how to do it. Hi, I'm Karen Brown of Just Get It Done Quilts. I give you tips, tricks, and strategies to help you make the quilt that you want to make. And if you like what you see, please click that subscribe button. This is part 3 of the Quick and Slick Pattern series. In part 1, we covered fabric choices, choosing your quilt size, block size, cutting, layout, and assembly. In part 2, we took that quilt top and then we sandwiched it, quilted it, squared it up, labeled it, and bound it, and made it a quilt. So now, in part 3, we're taking that technique and we're pushing it a little farther with 7 creative variations that let you customize the pattern without making it complicated. Everything here is still beginner friendly, but it'll also just give you permission to experiment. If you're new or self-taught, there's a free pattern and a free beginner guide. The original quick and slick pattern used 5-inch blocks, and that was intentional because there's these delicious little pre-cuts called charm packs, and they let you skip the cutting part almost entirely. But if you're cutting from your stash, 5-inch squares isn't always the most efficient choice. If you have a lot of fat quarters, or quarter-yard cuts, or leftovers from previous quilts, cutting 5-inch squares can actually produce more waste. In those cases, maybe a 4.5-inch block is the better choice, because then you'll get more blocks per piece of fabric. You'll generate fewer awkward scraps, and everything works completely the same way. You can also go bigger. I once had a quilt kit that 3 blocks in, I realized brought me absolutely no joy. But rather than force myself to finish it, I pivoted. I just turned those big blocks into baby quilts. But that did leave me with a stack of 6-inch pre-cut strips left over from the kit. So what did I do? I cut them into 6-inch blocks and just applied the quick and slick method. So step 1 is to outline your desired size on the wall or on the floor with masking tape. Then just lay out your blocks randomly. Overlap each block by a 1/2 inch and stagger the seams, and just build it row by row. Depending on what size blocks you use, you may have to adjust the final size by 1 inch or 2, but that's completely normal. Just remember, if you use smaller blocks, you're going to need more blocks than the pattern calls for. And if you use larger blocks, then you'll need less. The math changes, but the process doesn't. We talked about color in the earlier videos, especially on how using a limited color palette can make your scraps look intentional. You can go further with this by using color placement and value. And one option is a color wash. Start by sorting your scraps into color families. I did this recently with the goal of creating a rainbow layout from top to bottom. And I ended up with 7 piles: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and black. So I used masking tape to define the quilt size and laid out the blocks in color sections. I was surprised by how many in-between colors I had. Orangey yellows, bluey greens, red purples. But I found that those transitional rows make the color shift feel smoother and more intentional. And even though black technically isn't a color, I used it at the bottom and it grounded the whole quilt beautifully. Now you can do the same thing with value instead of color by putting your lights at the top, your mediums in the middle, and your darks at the bottom. And if you're unsure about balance, just take a quick photo and switch it to the grayscale. And that one trick can solve a lot of problems. In the Quick and Slick quilt in version 2, we divided 2 charm packs into 4 piles: the lights, the medium lights, the medium darks, and the darks. And they were laid out in order. The first one started with dark, and the second row shifted over 2 blocks and started with a medium light, and that simple shift created this pattern. But here's the fun part. You can also just shift 1 block to create a totally different pattern, or shift from 3 blocks. You can also change the number of fabric groups that you use to get a totally different pattern. I did this with a stack of batik fat quarters. I chose 12 colors and arranged them in order and shifted just 1 row consistently. The structure stayed the same, but the visual impact was completely different. This is one of the easiest ways to make a quilt look designed without adding complexity. Not all fabric comes in neat pre-cuts and yardage. Sometimes fabric blocks come from clothing, thrifted shirts, leftover strips, oddly shaped scraps. Instead of forcing everything into squares, use rectangles. Now, just mark your quilt size with the masking tape. Then build the quilt row by row, overlapping the blocks by 1/2 inch and staggering the seams. This method is much more freeform, as you make the decisions as you go and you trim the blocks when they start lining up too neatly. And you just let the quilt grow organically. It's incredibly forgiving and perfect for upcycled fabrics. This method is similar to the previous method, but just a little trickier. Let's say you collect scraps in 2 different heights, like 5 inches and 2.5 inches. You can still use alternating rows with the Quick and Slick pattern. You'll have a stack of tall blocks and you'll have a stack of short blocks. The key is to start with the same number of blocks in both stacks. Now, personally, I don't like counting blocks, so here's my workaround. I lay out the tall blocks first. Then I fill in with the shorter ones, because then if you're short on the short blocks, you can easily cut down one of the extra tall ones. But if you try to stretch a short block into a tall one, it doesn't work as neatly. Sometimes you lay out all your blocks following the directions perfectly, but then the quilt just doesn't excite you. Before you abandon it, just turn it on an angle, or as we say in quilting, on point. That diagonal orientation can completely change the energy of a quilt. But, and this is important, it does put all your quilt edges on the bias. If this is your very first quilt, I don't recommend that you try this. But if you are comfortable handling stretch, here are 2 ways to manage it. The first way is not to trim your blocks until after you quilt it. You'll need more blocks for this method, but your edges will be more stable. The second way is to trim the edge blocks. First, you fold the block along the outside edge of the quilt, then cut along the fold line. And the trim piece can be used on the other side of the quilt. But you need to stabilize those exposed, biased edges. And you can do that 2 ways. You can stay stitch all along the edge, all around the quilt. Or you can use strips of freezer paper and press them about 1/2 inch from the edge. I usually do this with freezer paper after I've sewn 2 to 4 rows together. And yes, more than likely, you will have to re-yarn them several times as you assemble the quilt top. Now, if you are brand new to quilting, keep it simple and follow the pattern. But if this is your second, third, or 300th quilt, you can combine 2 or several of these techniques together. For this one quilt, I used 17 1/4 yard cuts. I cut these strips into 2 smaller strips, one 5.5 inches and one 3.5 inches. And then from these strips, I cut them at 3 different widths, 3.5 inches, 5.5 inches, and 7.5 inches. Then I made angled rows using the 30-degree mark on my ruler. And I wanted my quilt to finish at 60 inches by 80. My color palette was set by using all fabrics from the same line. And this is Indie Folk by Art Gallery Fabrics. And I only had one rule as I was laying out the blocks, and that was that 2 identical fabrics could not touch. Did it make the layout harder? Absolutely. Was it worth it? Completely. So what do you think of these 7 different variations? Let me know which one is your favorite down in the comments. I hope this has shown you how flexible the quick and slick technique really is. And you can download the free pattern and the free beginner side on my website. I'll leave a link in the notes below. Use what you have, break the rules that don't serve you, and make the quilt that you want to make. Take care, and I'll see you next time.